a long time, or a while ago, when I was making my way into the ministry, I knew someone who kind of self-appointed themselves a mentor to me. And at one point, he told me, I think you ask too many questions to be a minister. At which point it was clear that he was not going to be my mentor. And it was clear that this lovely man from another tradition did not understand Unitarian Universalism at all. Because we are a people who ask questions, who struggle with answers and then question our answers as we seek truth together. We are a people who know that truth is ever unfolding. And as we have new experiences or take in new information, what we know to be true will change and should change with it. So today is one of my favorite Sundays of the year, where I invite people to ask questions. You all should have some scratch paper if you're in the Commons with, I think, a picture of a wolf on it, because that's what we had to write some questions on. Or if you are on Zoom, you have the Zoom chat. And so in a little while, we'll be asking you to ask questions about religion or meaning or ethics or all of that good stuff we wrestle with here. So come, let us gather. Come, let us worship together.
Welcome all. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions, or to your smaller questions, or to any questions. That's why we're here today. We welcome you. We know you come from different places, different religions, different beliefs, and different backgrounds. We hope you will find comfort, connection, challenge, and love here. We hope you will find ways to provide outreach to others in our congregation, in our local community, and in our world community. My name is Laura McClellan, and I'm from the Sunday Services Committee. I would like to extend a welcome to everyone gathered here this morning, whether you're new or a regular at People's Church, whether you're here in person or on Zoom. To those of you who are visitors for the first time, thank you for being with us today. People's Church is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association and part of a tradition of liberal religion. Here, our mission is to be a beloved community, embracing and serving our diverse world. Whoever you are, I welcome you. We welcome you.
And as we begin, I have several announcements for us today. The first is that the asking questions today is not only going to be directed at me, but we're having a gathering after church this Sunday to ask questions of people of different generations. One of the greatest strengths of our community is that we are a broad mix of ages and experiences. And then we often kind of segment ourselves by age, and those are the people we spend the most time with. And so this is a chance to listen and question and come to know one another. So we're offering that at 12:30 today in person here in the church, or at 7 p.m. on Tuesday on Zoom. And I encourage you all to participate one way or another. If you're participating today, I have some logistics. We're going to feed you, because listening or speaking when you're hungry is pretty much the worst thing, and we don't want to do that. So there will be food in the kitchen. I encourage you to get a plate, and if you are able, go outside to eat, because that is the safest option in these COVID times, or find a spot in the church that is distanced from others, because they haven't yet figured out the technology to eat and wear a mask at the same time. But that would be great. And then if you have children, you need to pick them up from the RE class. You are in charge of them during the mealtime. And then at 12:30, we have some outside and engaging childcare for all of our younger children. And we're encouraging our middle school and up children to come to this event. And unfortunately, again, we don't have the technology to provide childcare while you're in a Zoom meeting. Otherwise, we would do that on Tuesday as well. Next announcement. 1 week from today, right here at same time, same place, is our annual congregational meeting. We encourage people to come in person or on Zoom to participate. People can fully participate on Zoom. That is part of the work we did with our bylaws revision several months ago. All of the final voting will be by mail and electronic. We're using the same method you receive your church newsletter. And if that's not the method you would like to receive your ballot information with, talk to Melissa in our church office sometime this week. We have our voting policy and our draft budget available on the table in the foyer where you walked in and picked up an order of service. We also have that available on our website. Our finance people, our board people are all available to answer questions if you have any questions about all of that. So I hope you are able to participate. And finally, I'm sure most of you who are here in person heard this on your way in, but we are having signature collection for a couple of initiatives, one to promote the vote and one to keep abortion safe and legal in Michigan. So if you are here in person and registered, I encourage you to sign. If you are joining us on Zoom and want to sign those initiatives, let me know, call the church, and we will find a way to get your signature on those initiatives. This is important. This is part of how we live our values right now. And let's sing. Get into whatever posture helps you sing your very best, and join me in song.
I invite you to rise and body your spirit. All right, we've been doing this song for a couple of weeks. There's 2 parts to it. Please sing the part that speaks to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead. You sound great, keep going. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with. I know you're scared, and I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Last time, you gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love. Thank you.
If you're on Zoom and you're lighting a chalice at home, you're encouraged to type in the chat box, "A chalice is lit in," and then wherever you are. Open to Unexpected Answers by Julianne Lapp. We seek our place in the world and the answers to our heart's deepest questions. As we seek, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers. May the light of our chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and welcoming of multiple truths.
This morning, we have 25 Zoom connections, and we have chalices lit in Portage and Oshtemo and Pawpaw, along with this one in Kalamazoo. Well, in Oshtemo also, actually, today, and in Kalamazoo. Our story today is one of my favorites, and it is one that I usually tell with many small children sitting here who are willing to act some things out. So I'm wondering if there are any childlike adults today, or adults who are feeling a spirit of fun and playfulness who might want to come forward and help me tell this story. Okay, good. We got at least one. I would love a few more if anybody is feeling it. Good. Okay. Thank you, guys. So, once upon a time, there was a town, a small town at the base of a big mountain. And on the side of the mountain, there was a word carved in the stone. And the word was yes. Can you two be a mountain together? A big, tall, that has yes carved in the side. Oh, I love it. You are really, really good mountains. Okay, a sideways yes, that works. Everybody in the village then tips their head to read it. Beautiful, beautiful mountain. And so anytime anyone in the village had a question that they couldn't answer, they would look to their mountain, and the mountain would say yes, and then they would know what to do. So one day, a man named Jim was deciding what to make for dinner for him and the people he was inviting over. What do you guys like to eat for dinner? Stir fry? Macaroni? Tacos? I couldn't hear that. Steak. Okay, and so Jim said, "Mountain, should I make stir fry?" And the mountain said yes. He said, "Mountain, should I make macaroni?" And the mountain said yes. He said, "Mountain, should I make tacos?" And the mountain said yes. You guys should get an Oscar for your mountainness. It's amazing. And so Jim started cooking tacos and stir fry and steak and macaroni. And then Jim and his party started eating tacos and steak and stir fry and macaroni. And they ate and ate and ate. And they were so full. And so the next day, when they woke up still overstuffed, they realized this does not work. And so they gathered the whole village together and said, our mountain is broken. It cannot just say yes to every answer. That doesn't work for us, to every question. And so they talked and they talked. And after much conversation, they decided they needed something new in their mountain. And so they sent up their wood carver, and she chipped away at the yes. So we're going to take the yes sign down. And we're going to thank you both for being a spectacular mountain. If you want to go sit down. It was amazing. And then the wood carver started carving something else into the side of the mountain. And here's our next mountain. The word no. And so before too long, Jim again was feeling indecisive about what to make for dinner with his friends. And so he said, mountain, should I make stir fry? And the mountain said no. He said, mountain, should I make macaroni? The mountain said no. Mountain, should I make tacos? The mountain said no. Mountain, should I make steak? And the mountain said no. And so Jim didn't make anything, and his friends came over expecting a dinner party, and they were all very disappointed. So they woke up the next morning still hungry and realized this is not going to work either. So they gathered the whole town, the whole village together, and they started talking and talking and talking. And finally, after a long time, someone said, we can't have only one answer. So we should carve out the no and have mountain say, sometimes yes, and sometimes no, and sometimes maybe, and sometimes wait and see. And the stone carver had a very big sigh after that decision was made, but she went up and started chipping away at the giant no. So that went away. I'm wondering, is there anyone else who wants to be a mountain? Anyone? Okay. But in the meantime, because they knew it would take a very long time to carve all of those words into the side of the mountain, they put up a big sign that just said, under construction. And so while that stone carver was hard at work, people couldn't ask the mountain for answers anymore. And so the next time Jim was hungry, if you're looking for seats, there's some in the front and some on the sides. He realized, he looked out and tried to ask the mountain a question, but this was not a helpful answer to him. And so he thought about, what am I hungry for? He looked into a recipe book. He asked the friends that he invited for dinner what they might like to eat, and came up with his own answer. And after a while, the whole village realized that they did not need the answer carved in the side of the mountain. They could find their own answers in their own minds and their own hearts, or by talking with others, or by looking it up in a book, and in many other ways. So that is our story. Yes. And an extra thank you to our mountain actors today. That was spectacular. People are generous people. Yesterday was our white elephant sale. The whole front of the church was transformed with tables and so many things for sale. It has been a labor since last fall when this room was temporarily a furniture and household goods storehouse for our refugee newly arrived neighbors. And it came to fruition. Yesterday, we had so many people come. People who saw the story about our sale on the local news. People who knew our community, people who were here for the first time, people who wanted to help refugees and gave more than the cost of the items that they bought to be part of this important effort. And we raised about $3,300, which is more than we've ever raised from a white elephant sale, as far as I'm aware. Yes. And it was truly amazing. And so half of that money will go to the good and important work we are doing within our church, and half of it will support the 8 refugee families that People's Church, in partnership with 2 of the Jewish congregations in town, are co-sponsoring and helping make a life for themselves in our community. It will go a long way. So People's People are generous. You are generous in all of the hours people spent pricing and all of the effort to get everything from inside the church building to outside the church building to sell yesterday morning, and then to deal with all of the things that were still left at the end of the sale and bring things inside. You all are generous in giving things for sale, in buying things, and in all of the ways we support the good and important work of this church. So the offering will now be received. Continue to be the generous people that you are.
Please join in giving thanks for all that sustains us. If you're on Zoom, you should be able to find the words in the chat box. From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love, which none of us can accomplish alone.
Much of our human struggle is with what we do not know or understand. It is often difficult not to want answers, or even more difficult, not to think we have them already. May we experience what we do not know, not as individual failure, but as an invitation to community. May we seek not the true answers so much as the true questions, knowing that true questions make our lives meaningful, even if sometimes restless journeys. May we be grateful for the restless voices in our communities. Let us take a few moments of silence to listen for those restless voices within ourselves. May we be good company in our questions and our journey. So may it be. And now, congregation, it is time to play Stump the Minister, more or less, right? I invite you to write down a question or two for me, either on the piece of paper that you have in your order of service or in the Zoom chat. There There are some pens and crayons and colored pencils in the back of the commons if that's what you need. And every time we have done this, and on the Zoom chat, type it into the chat. There are ways to send it to me without everyone seeing. So if you want that level of anonymity in your Zoom chatting, feel free. Every time that we have done this, I have received way more questions than I have been able to answer in the 20 or so minutes allowed. And every question, or almost every question, I think occasionally someone has put a math problem in there just to keep me on my toes, has been rich and valuable. Some of your questions will be too good for my 2 minutes and will need a whole sermon later. And all of them help me know what is in your heart and in your mind, and what are the unanswered questions you might be wrestling with right now, and that is worthwhile. If you want me to follow up with you individually, please write your name in a legible way, and I would be happy to do that over the coming weeks or so. So let's write some questions and pass them, if you're in person, pass them to the center aisle when you are done.
From Becoming Wise by Krista Tippett. If I've learned nothing else, I've learned this. A question is a powerful thing, a mighty use of words. Questions elicit answers in their likeness. Answers mirror the questions they rise or fall to meet. So while a simple question can be precisely what's needed to drive to the heart of the matter, it's hard to meet a simplistic question with anything but a simplistic answer. It's hard to transcend a combative question, but it's hard to resist a generous question. We all have it in us to formulate questions that invite honesty, dignity, and revelation. There's something redemptive and life-giving about asking better questions. The second reading is Questions While Searching for Birds with My Half-White Sons, aged 6 and 9, National Audubon Bird Count Day, Oxford, MS. If we are going to look for birds all day, is anyone going to be looking for us if we get lost? I thought you said God has his eye on every sparrow, so why are we counting if he already knows? Is there a bathroom nearby? Why won't you let me bring my telescope? There might be birds flying way, way up there, but we can't see them, and then we'll mess up the count. Why do lady cardinals look so sad and boy cardinals look like they're going to a party? Someone at school said bees are going missing, and if we don't see any more bees, we're going to go missing too. Is that true? I don't want to go missing, but if I am, can I be missing with you, Mommy? What about Daddy? I don't want Daddy to be missing. What is camouflage? If I wear red and stand behind a cardinal, would you still see the cardinal, or would you only see me? But isn't that scary for the boy cardinal? He can't camouflage on anything except a red wall, or my red shirt. Lady cardinals are lucky. You can hardly see them. Mommy, you are like a lady cardinal because you are brown. Why do you have better camouflage than Daddy? Right now, I have medium camouflage. Will I be brown or white when I grow up? Why do some white people not like brown people? Don't worry, Mommy. You can hide in the forest from those bad people. You have good camouflage. Can I have good camouflage even though I'm half and half? At school, we have to hide under our desks in case of bad people. We did that last week. It's called lockdown. We have to be quiet, like what we're doing now. while we wait for birds? Why are there people who will hunt kids? If hawks are circling around us, does that mean they think one of us might be good to hunt? Is there a bathroom nearby? Why is the red bud tree not called a purple bud tree? All the flowers are purple. Do hummingbirds ever get tired from flying and just want to swim and float in the water for a while? Is there anything for them to snack on while they're flying above the ocean? Or do they just snack on air and pretend it is a flower? I think the blue heron is very suspicious. He's so frozen. I feel bad for the frogs and fish that think he is just a bird statue. If I saw a bunch of turkey vultures looking at the house with their wings out, I would think something scary was going to happen. Remember when we watched that lady put a tag on a hummingbird? I bet he didn't like that. And when he got to Mexico, the other birds laughed and asked, "What's wrong with your ankle?" Remember another lady painted a bird on my face at the festival, and you made me wash it off at night? I was very sad. Do birds have eyelids? Do they ever close them when they fly? Do they know how to wink at us? Because I think I saw a brown thrasher wink at me last week, but I didn't tell anyone. Is there a bathroom nearby now? What happens if there is a bird count when I'm 40 and we don't find any birds? Will you be missing when I'm 40? Will you be missing when I'm 60? Mommy, what if there were 100 more green birds in the forest right now and we just didn't know it? And they were all camouflaged and watching us with our notepads and we couldn't see them. And they were giggling and telling each other our bird count is all wrong. Birds don't giggle. What if they were winking at each other then? Choice by Lynn Unger. There isn't a right answer. There just isn't. The game show where the bells ring and the points go up and the confetti falls because you got the answer is a lie. The preacher who would assure you of how to attain salvation is making it all up. The doctor who knows just how to fix what ails you will be sure of something else tomorrow. Every choice will wound someone, heal someone, build a wall, and open a conversation. Things will always happen that you can't foresee, but you have to choose. It's all we have, that little rudder that we employ in the midst of all the eddies and rapids, the current that pulls us inexorably toward the sea. The fact that you are swept along by the river is no excuse. Watch where you are going. Lean in toward what you love. When in doubt, tell the truth.
Once again, I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing our next song. It is number 354 in your hymnal, We Laugh, We Cry. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. Stop all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow, we have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
I had a nightmare a couple of days ago that I was right here, and all of the questions that you all submitted were in an alphabet I could not read. And so I'm so grateful that you all used words that I can read. Anxiety is a weird thing that manifests in our brains in all kinds of ways, isn't it? So I have my stack. We'll see how far I get. Our first question is, what do Unitarian Universalists believe about abortion? So the Unitarian Universalist Association has been making statements in support of abortion rights since the 1960s. These are things that our General Assembly has voted on and passed. Unitarian Universalists clearly support the right of people to access safe and legal abortion and make the choices about being pregnant and carrying children and becoming parents that make sense for them. Over the last decade or two, we have expanded our thinking to incorporate more than just abortion access, but reproductive justice, because a choice about abortion is not much of a choice if you don't have good medical care, if you don't have access to good child care, if, as is the case in Kalamazoo County, Black babies are 4 times more likely to die before they are 1 than white babies. And so working on all of that, which we do with our partnership last week, giving money to the Rooted Red Birth Green Collective, with our work with Cradle Kalamazoo, with our support for Kalamazoo County Ready Fours, all of that is what we are committed to. Another piece that's important to say, because often this comes up when people get into religious conversations about abortion, is a debate about when life begins. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not have an official position about when life begins. But many traditions, there's a wide spectrum of belief on this among religious traditions, and very, very, very few that say life begins at the moment of conception. Many, including the Jewish tradition, say life begins with the first breath. Others say life begins at quickening. That's kind of the traditional Christian understanding. So that moment when the person who the fetus is growing inside of feels it move as an independent being. And so anyway, if you're arguing with people, don't concede the point that life begins at conception, because there's lots of different ways to argue that. So that's it. And that's why, so a couple of weeks ago, I was on a call with local clergy, and Brittany, the Planned Parenthood community organizer who is outside collecting signatures today. And she was asking about coming and collecting signatures. And I could say unambiguously, please come. And that was not true at every other congregation, in part just because of governance and who they needed to ask permission from. But it is nice to be in a place where we can agree on this, even when we disagree on very many other things. And so as we figure things out, as we move forward, as whatever happens with the Supreme Court, know that I and other local clergy are working to possibly revive what's called the Clergy Consultation Service on abortion. In the pre-Roe versus Wade era, clergy often helped people access abortion. And we're figuring out if that's something we need to do, because a lot of the work here, at least until that initiative passes, will be about getting people out of state to access care, which is horrifying that might be our reality. But there are people here and beyond who are committed to making our values real, even if it gets really complicated. So these are two very similar questions. How do you balance joy and despair? And how does one balance finding solace and attending to so many needs in our community? These are the questions right now, I think, for so many of us. How do we live in this world that is beautiful and heartbreaking all at the same time? And I love that both of the writers put the word balance in there, because I think that's what it is. And I think finding that balance changes. But some things that I know are that if you can find the way to do the work, to attend to the needs in a way that is life-giving, that does give joy, that is the sweet spot. So whether that's doing something with a good friend and partnering, or finding what the skill is that you have that gives you joy, and figuring out how you can do that to help somebody. Because giving from something that you don't have, because that's what's expected or what someone asks you to do, is a recipe for burnout. And we need everybody to find the sustainable ways to do this work right now, because it seems like we're going to be seeking justice and caring for others always. That's always with us, and we can't give in to the despair. Another thing that has been really helpful for me is really focusing on what is within my own reach. So caring for my neighborhood, caring for my community, and then putting myself on a pretty strict news diet beyond that, because you could spend your whole day on the soap opera of Washington, or what the heartbreaking news out of Ukraine, and it doesn't actually do anything to just consume that, except kind of mute your own sense of power and ability. And I feel like this is heresy to tell this to youths to stop watching the news or stop listening to NPR or whatever it is. But I have found that I've limited, not eliminated, and it gives me more energy. It gives me more peace. It helps me be able to do the things that are mine to do. So that's my advice. And also, find the things that really give you joy. Brene Brown talks some about how we sometimes do things that numb us and think that that's joy. So whether that's sitting in front of the TV and mindlessly eating something or mindlessly anything, but how do you make the joy as joyful as possible? I think is part of the question, to find that balance, as intensely joyful. Because there's the kind of things that we fall into as routines for comfort that matter, but aren't as life-giving, aren't as joy-filled as some other things we could choose. So I invite you into that. Relatedly, someone asked, why do you say, may the joyous be shielded? It's the only part that doesn't resonate with my experience of joy. Where does this phrase come from? It's a great question, isn't it? So the prayer that I say after joys and sorrows it's adapted from the Episcopal Book of Common Prayer from the Compline service, which is a prayer to say at the end of the day. And my husband is an Episcopalian, and for a long time, the Compline service was the only one we could go to because it's at 6 p.m. on Sundays, and that worked in our life. And obviously, I took out the Jesuses and the angels and the stuff like that to make it work here and to work for me. So I started saying that prayer when I worked as a hospital chaplain, and I would walk home and say that as kind of usually over and over again, as my way of kind of going off the clock, of knowing that things were still unfolding at the hospital, but there were other people there to do the caring, and I did not need to carry it home with me, to sort of set that boundary in my heart more than anything. And then we brought it to all of you. But the phrase, may the joyous be shielded, for me means I want the people who are feeling joy in this moment to feel it as intensely and fully as they can without the other things we just heard shattering it. So I envision like this wall of protection around people when they're joyful, and hoping that that extends as long as possible. But if that doesn't work for you all, I welcome other metaphors, because this is a thing we create together, and often, like, collectively, we can be better wordsmiths than any of us can be as individuals. So if someone has a phrase that they think works better there, please send it my way. If something else captures that feeling of hoping that joyful people get to keep being joyful, even when things are hard in other people's lives. My goodness, I should give shorter answers to these things. Okay, can you explain something about the upcoming review of UUA Article 2? So Article 2 of the UUA bylaws includes such favorites as our 7 principles and our sources. So it's really the only part of our bylaw, the UUA bylaws, that we pay any attention to. And they haven't had a major revision since about 1985. And so the UUA, our denomination, or our association, not denomination, is in the process. So there's been kind of surveys and small groups and stuff. And in all likelihood, there will be changes. The 7 principles were never meant to be a thing that acted as a creed, and sometimes it does. And so they will be different. There might not be 7. There might be a different number. I'm hoping that the words get less technical and more understandable to people of all ages. As I preached a couple weeks ago and said that the word inherent was a mouthful when I was 3 or when I was in 3rd grade, and it still is. That's a hard word to get together. So know that things are changing. I don't know, there'll probably be a draft in about a year, so we'll talk about it when they have something. I know the commission has been noticing that the word love is not in our principles very much, and it is a thing that we say all the time in our churches. And so what does that mean, and how do we figure that out and have things that are both reflective of who we are now, not who we were in 1985, and kind of encourage us into something? So we'll see. So on that, related, the word love. In this context of building a church, is love an invitation or a command? And how can it be both? I feel like this deserves an entire sermon, at least, maybe a series. But my first attempt, the first draft, is I think it begins as an invitation. I think, we don't greet anybody on their first Sunday with us, and now you must go out and love the world. But I think as you become rooted in our tradition, as you become a Unitarian Universalist, it becomes imperative to maybe not love, because that's a complicated word, but at least care for the world around you. I don't think there is a way to be a Unitarian Universalist without trying to act with integrity, at least in your interpersonal relationships, and having joy and love radiate there. But I think so many of us, so many of you all by profession are helpers of one way or another. So many of people are making love visible in their actions, are loving the hell out of the world, as our Universalist forebears used to say, because they didn't believe in hell. So that's what we were doing. But it's hard. And I think love is a slippery word. We know interpersonally it's different. And Cornel West says, intimacy is what love looks like in private, and justice as what it looks like in public. And I think to be faithful, we need to lean into both of those things. What does it mean for something to be meant to be? Does it mean that meaning comes from without, from the others, the universe, or God? Or does meaning come primarily within, and then by sharing that meaning with each other through our relationships? So there's a variety of beliefs about kind of meant to be, and if things are fated within our Unitarian Universalist tradition. So I'm speaking for me, not all of us. But I don't believe in meant to be. I think this world, what I know of it is too heartbreaking and too random to have some cosmic script writer plotting out everything for us. That just doesn't resonate true with my experience. And so I think the meaning is more of a retroactive thing. You find the message in the mess, and once you've started making your way through it. And that happens in different ways. And it usually takes a lot of time and a lot of thought, and can't be imposed by someone else trying to say, oh, the silver lining of your tragedy is this. We have to find that. And I think most of the time we can find a meaning, we can find a purpose, we can find a truth in those hardest moments that can open us up to something new. But it usually takes quite a bit of disintegration in the middle. And I don't think any of that is meant to be, is ordered by somebody else, or is the result of our previous actions and some sort of balancing of karma. I think that's where we stop for now. Thank you all for these questions. Thank you all for the ones that haven't been answered yet. They will be in one way or another. And I invite you, especially those of you who are staying for our gathering at 12:30, or who are going to join us Tuesday at Zoom at 7, to think of which of these questions you want to hear more people answer and ask them in that space. Or if your question didn't get answered, you can ask in that space too. So it is time for us to sing our final hymn.
You can find your words in the order of service. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love. One more time. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
So as we go out, I bless you with questions, the restless questions that keep us animated, that keep us wondering, that keep us listening and learning and growing and changing. Go in peace and go in love.